Shannon, I'm excited to talk to you today about a really big topic. So, hi.
Hey, good to see you. I'm excited too. This has been a fun series.
It really has been. And as with anything, I'm reminded we shouldn't pick topics that you and I don't want to have to explore personally leading up to it. Right? I know. So, this whole season on identity is like, oh, this is awesome and hard and awesome and hard.
So many layers of it. And we've said for years when David preaches on something, we walk through whatever he's preaching about. And now I'm experiencing the same thing as he has and what you are. Yeah, lots of surgery on our identity and multiple layers and dynamics and forms. So yeah, it's been wild.
Which is super cool. I mean, it's in hindsight, it's super cool. In the middle, it's a little murky and not fun. But this particular topic today on the lie of not feeling like you have purpose or that your talents aren't good enough or matter is something I hear a lot with my kids, with women, in my own head. So I'm really excited to dig in. And you're stuck today doing your 2 truths and a lie. I can't wait.
These will probably be pretty easy for you. I let you off on the hook this time. Okay, so here are my 2 truths and a lie. Decide which one is the lie. Number 1, I can play piano completely by ear.
Okay.
Number 2, I started piano lessons at the age of 3.
Okay.
Number 3, I sing alto.
I'm going to go with the age of 3, piano at 3.
As the lie?
Yes. Is it the last one?
Nope.
It's the first one.
Yes, I have to have some music in front of me. I don't have to have a lot of music, but I have to have a little bit of music in front of me to play. But I want to be able to just sit down and with my eyes closed and just it flow. But at this stage in my spiritual journey, I've asked the Lord for that gift, but I don't fully have it yet. But yeah, my parents started me in piano lessons when I was 3. And I continued taking lessons till I was 21. And now my boys take from the same lady who taught me the majority of my life. So that's kind of fun.
That is cool.
And I have an alto voice, which is, I have a good choir voice, but not a good solo voice. And I wanted really bad a soprano high solo voice, but that's not what I got. So,
and I'm sorry, before we go deeper in this ridiculous lie, at every retreat that we're at, Shannon just all of a sudden just starts harmonizing. And I'm like, who is this woman with a beautiful voice that could do solo? So I'm just saying, don't diss what you got, girl, because it's really amazing.
So, evidence on display of the lie that we're talking about today.
Yes, welcome to that comparison.
So I get told all the time, and I'm sure you do too, you're such a talented and accomplished person. And yet on the inside, it's never good enough. And I don't know that a lot of us see ourselves that way. And we start measuring based on different types of talents. Someone who is more out there and who speaks more, or who plays the piano, or who writes books, that's more out there than someone who has a talent that's more hidden. And so we put talents on a sliding scale. So yeah, this lie about I don't have enough talents and I have no purpose, really its roots are in comparison and the feeling of not being good enough, which are 2 other separate live streams we have covered in depth. And there's so much overlap with all of these lies. They have their root in selfishness and a self-centered focus, but they're real and we've all felt them. So I recognize I do have a talent to play the piano. I can say that and thank the Lord for that talent. And I'm glad it blesses other people. But I don't have a talent to play like the people I really want to play like. There's Kim Collingsworth and the Collingsworth family. If you've never seen her, go look her up on YouTube. Awesome. It's like, oh. My Aunt Charlotte is an amazing pianist, and I want to play and be able to do notes like she does. We have this Sunday come into our church, the Tribute Quartet. They're a Southern gospel quartet, and they have a guy who plays the piano that just blows my mind. So when I think about and when I covet their talents for playing the piano, I feel like, oh, just little old Shannon over here, just plunking out, great is thy faithfulness, or it is well. Those are if you give me a hymnal and I can play all day. So, but I'm comparing myself to someone else. And
And maybe
honestly,
we are too, Shannon.
yeah,
So
that's
think
hard to
about that,
imagine.
right? Like the people we look up to are probably don't feel like they have accomplished what we think they have.
So we're all always going to struggle with feeling like someone else is better in an area than we are, whether it's making sourdough bread or painting or decorating or how you dress your kids. I mean, we're all going to find someone who can do it better than we can.
Absolutely.
Um, so in church, which, as a pastor's wife, a lot of my context for dealing and interacting with women is in the church. And I hear this a whole lot from women in the church. They say a couple of things like, one, they don't have visible talents to share. Again, the upfront and on the stage type of talents is what somehow we've created to be the end all be all of talents. Or they don't have a purpose within the church body and know really where they fit to serve. So focusing on that lie creates some attitudes. It creates this spirit of withdrawing. Like, if I don't have any talents that I think are meaningful, I don't have a place to serve. What am I going to do? I'm going to withdraw from the body. They become bitter and everybody else fits in, but I don't fit in. They feel left out. There's a spirit of comparison. And honestly, it leads to disunity. And I have seen
Mhm.
that type of I'm not good enough, I don't have those talents like so and so does, lead to people getting mad and disunified. And then the enemy is just like, rah, rah, I won. It's really sad. It's
It
really,
is
really sad.
sad. It is sad. I see it in my life too. I mean, I've seen it in times where I've coveted somebody else's stuff, and
Mhm.
then I get it's this level of bitterness where you pull away and you're like, well, I'm not even I don't even know why we do it, Shane. I'm trying to figure out in my head why I do that. Well, I guess I'm not good enough to be amongst them if I don't write like they do, or if I don't speak at the levels and ways that they do, or if I'm not the mother like they are. And yet it's just true and utter lies. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it also boils down to a confidence issue or
Yeah.
an insecurity issue.
Yeah.
So I'm raising teenage sons right now,
Mhm.
which I feel like we need to take a moment and thank God that we're not a teenager anymore.
Oh, I'm scratching the surface. This is not a fun time. I will let you walk ahead and you will show me the way. I don't like it.
If I survive. So, I mean, talk about like an identity crisis. That is
Yeah.
what middle
Yeah.
school to high school is, going from childhood to adulthood. And I have a teenage son who will not own or acknowledge any of his talents. And he's super gifted in a few ways, but he refuses to let us praise him about it. And I think it's a confidence
Yeah.
issue and an insecurity as a teenager, but also we can all relate because he's trying to decide, who am I? And that's what we're trying to do as women. Who am I? Am I someone who's getting my worth from looking like so and so pianist, or am I just a daughter of the king and he's given me this talent and I need to praise and worship him in it? So um but he feels like, and we feel like, if we can't do it like someone else, or we don't have it in this degree, then my contribution no longer matters, which is
Mm.
sad. And then
It's
as
rough.
it relates to purpose and what is my purpose, I've had a lot of conversations with women recently from different aspects of life, different areas of my life, who have all talked about once motherhood was over and the kids left the nest, like they didn't know who they were anymore. It's another identity crisis, a moment of identity crisis, because motherhood provides innate purpose.
Yeah.
It's one of the
Yes.
ways God created us. And as long as we're in that stage, we have a very defined and fulfilling purpose.
True.
And
Very
when they
clean,
no
very clear.
Yes, very clear. No doubt about it. We might not like it, but we know what our purpose is.
Right.
they leave the house, and who are we? Who am I anymore? What do I have to offer? And a lot of women have regrets now in that stage of life because they never pursued their unique callings outside of motherhood
Yeah.
or what they were interested in, and they're having to rediscover some of that purpose. So I don't want to get to that stage in my life where the boys are gone and then I'm frustrated with who am I. And of course there's transition, that's part of it. But
Right. Seasons change. Absolutely.
yes, but what is am I going to believe the lie that I have no more purpose just because my motherhood stage is over? So, yeah, this lie permeates so much of church life, home life, and our
Mhm.
personal life. So, I am super hopeful that you can help us turn the tide on this one.
Well, it hit me deeply because I've gone through when I think of all the stages in life, when I went through a corporate layoff, when I've evolved how I'd work and when I was a homeschool mom and not, and when I was in college and I was graduating college and I wasn't married yet, and Corey and I were dating, like, and so it's these in between where purpose to me gets really foggy, and I think, well, in my reflection of it, it's not that the purpose is foggy. It's that I have shifted where I'm looking for satisfaction and purpose. And so, as I was reflecting on this topic, I was thinking deeply of that, and I was also thinking of this really beautiful woman that was at a Bible study once. Who, when we went around and introduced ourselves, she acknowledged, like, my goal of this study is to figure out my purpose in life. And I had a moment of like immense heartbreak because I thought, "Oh my gosh, we all feel this, and you had the courage to say it." And I look up to you for that. And so, yeah, so I was reflecting, Shannon, like, why is this out of all of the lies, as when I look at them all, like, it's probably the most prominent that I've seen in my own life and in others. Like, what is it? And I think it's because growing up, sometimes we feel like everything we touch like isn't good enough or we fail at it. Have you ever said that? Like, everything I touch, it breaks. Everything I touch breaks. Some days that's me. Probably heard me say that. I'm not allowed to touch anything else today because I obviously have no gift to fix it. Or that we're falling back into that comparison trap that you talk about. Like, I'm looking at Shannon. I've told you before, I would love to be, why didn't God give me the gift of singing? And the other day, my youngest made a comment and I was like, oh my gosh, you are so cute. And he goes, Mama, I think you could sing on stage. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Thank you. That is so sweet. I have so many other talents, not that one. But thank you for like noticing that where what I see in what I see of myself there, someone else doesn't, and for reaffirming it. So I just want to like lay the foundation for this. I'll build it up with a couple of key points, and then we'll turn to scripture for specific teaching. But the reality is we have purpose because we're here. If we weren't here, we would, if we did not have a purpose, we wouldn't be here. God doesn't just create, junk. That was one of the beautiful things that I learned when I was in high school, went on a retreat. God doesn't make junk. So you are not a piece of wadded up paper to go into the landfill, sister, husband, wife, mom, daughter, friend, woman, man, anyone, right? Like, you're here, you have a purpose, and you have a talent. You are talented. Now, you may not like the talents you have. You may not have uncovered the talents you have. You may have wished you had other talents. Okay. So we'll talk about that. But I am no longer going to hear you say that you have no purpose or talents, because you do. So
You
for
know,
us, go
Stephanie,
ahead.
you said this seems to be the most prominent of lies, and it got me thinking, like, why?
Yeah.
Because there are actually some other lies that are underneath this one, but this is the one that is socially acceptable to talk about.
You are right.
Like, we can very easily, so we put ourselves down by also putting someone else up. I wish I could play the piano like them. Oh, I wish I could sing like them. I wish I could bake a meal like them. Like, we talk like
Yes.
that a
Yeah.
lot. And I don't know why it's so socially acceptable, but I think that's why this life feels so much more
I
prominent.
think you're right. Well, and in the self-help world, there's so many books out there on how to uncover your purpose. Here's the path to purpose. All that. So the word purpose is also mainstream. But I really want to take it back because while there's beautiful parts of being mainstream, we need to be reconnected back to really like the point of it all. And it's not us. None of it's us. We are here for purpose because God made us for purpose. The first kind of high point I want to talk about is when we say we're not talented or we lack purpose, it doesn't just hurt us. Like a lot of the lies we've talked about leading up to this one, we've talked about how it hurts our way we think, it hurts how we experience the world. Friends, this hurts God. This hurts God. I think about it as a parent when my kids come up. Okay, so my husband has these really amazing eyes that change colors from blue to green depending upon what he's wearing. And when we got married, I said, I know I have brown hair, brown eyes, and I'm quite confident that that is the dominant feature and our whole family will get it. But Lord, please give one of my children those eyeballs. Like they're gorgeous. And none of them got them. Okay. So it just is what it is. And that's fine. But when my kids say, man, like I wish I didn't have brown eyes, the brown eyes that we have in our family aren't just chocolate brown. They have a glitter to them that is passed through my mom's generation. I can see it in all of the brown eyes in my mom. I see it in all my kids. So I have not said this to them because it's simple. It's something I said that growing up. I wanted all this, right? But it hurts me because, and I can imagine how it hurts God when we say, hey, I wish I had that. It's this lack of satisfaction and contentment and joy in what we currently have. And it also, when we say that, is to say we have no purpose, is actually like we're kind of denying that God has a plan. So we're like, well, we have no purpose. I think it feels like we're actually turning away from the fact that God has a plan for us that is good, and his plan reigns supreme. Friends, it's not ours. So we may want different talents. We might wish for a different purpose, but the reality is like we are here on purpose, for his plan. We get to choose what we do about that.
And when we're believing this lie, it's basically unbelief
Yes,
and the sin of unbelief.
it
Because you
is.
said we're rejecting what God has said about us and what he has planned for us. And so
Yes.
we're saying to him, God, our Father and our Creator, I really don't believe what you said.
Yeah, I don't really trust that you've got a plan, and I really don't trust that you have a reason I'm here. And that's why I wanted to pull it out of mainstream culture where we talk about purpose. Have fun, friends, to go on the hike to find your purpose. It evolves, and it's not always in big things. It's many times in small, beautiful ways. The second point I want to talk about is that, and I don't want to belabor this. We've already talked about this some, but listen, like you were handmade, custom made, divine, crafted, perfect in God's eyes. All right. And so, again, when we say things like, I have no talents, we're not a cook. There's not a cookie cutter machine up in heaven that is like cranking us out like this, right? Let's break away from the factory model of what we understand here on way things are created, and that's not the creation process of what God does. So you were custom made, and he doesn't make junk. And then the third one is if we hold on to this lie, it actually immobilizes us. I think it hides us from understanding and finding our real identity and talents and all of those things. When I see people say that, and when I've said that before in my life, it deflates me and defeats me. So I don't want that. I want you to find your talents. And to do that, you have to realize you have one or many, probably many friends. Okay. But let's be grateful for at least one. I want you to be open-minded and start listening. God talks like in every small, beautiful way all around us. I also want you to consciously choose to not compare your talents or purpose. God created them for you. You have them, and trust in that. And then choose to walk in faith and be grateful wherever that walk leads you. Those are kind of some important things as you're discovering your talents. So I want to turn to Matthew 25, the parable of the bags of gold, or also known as the parable of talents. And I'm looking at time. I feel like I have to read it I'll go fast, okay? But I feel like I have to read it just for some context. So be listening as I'm reading it. If there are things, Shannon, to you and other people who are listening now or later, if there are parts of this that connect with you deeply. So it is on Matthew 25:14. And I'm reading from the NIV. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. When he went on this journey, then he went on this journey. There's a period there. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 more bags. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I've gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful, and with a few things, I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I've gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share in your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathered where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid, and I went out and I hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. The master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well, then you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. So take that bag of gold. So he took that bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw what worthless servant aside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. We're not going to talk about that part, but let's talk about the beginning parts, because this parable hits me differently in different parts of my life. I remember hearing it when I was young and thinking it was actually talking about hoarding money and how you because I hear at the Catholic Church, it was used a lot around stewardship. What do you do with your time, talents, and treasure? But in preparation and in study for today, a couple of things came to my mind. The first was in verse, where is it? Let's see. Okay, in 15. To one he gave 5 bags, the other 2, another 1 bag, but this each according to his ability. That his ability thing sat with me today and in my study. I don't think that God, when we look at what God gives us, the talents, the opportunities, the seeds, I don't think he's like, okay, well, Shannon, you have just this much ability, so you just get one. And this person has this much ability, so you get many. I think instead what that means is I know what you can and will do with this. And I'm going to trust this to you with knowing what your capabilities are, what your opportunities are, etc. Right. And so I find comfort in that. I know a Christianese phrase that can be hard to handle sometimes is the one that says, God won't give you more than you can handle. It's been overused, but right here we are reminded that he gave according to the ability of each person. Found that very interesting.
Yeah, and it makes me think that we all have different capacities from each other. And I also have different capacity in different seasons of life.
Yes.
There have been seasons where I can do a whole lot more and seasons where I can't. But no matter where, God is still giving me gifts and talents that I can use for him, regardless of what my capacity is.
Exactly. The second part that I found very intriguing is when is after the master came back. So obviously it's a parable of us and God, right? So it's like after the master came back, after he had given each person a couple of things to do with what he had, it was his gold. Friends, we are vessels. This is his gifts to us, right? These are not our gifts, our talents, our whatever. These are God-given gifts. We're missing that adjective. God-given gifts, God-given talents. What are you going to do with them? Are you going to hoard them? Are you going to hide them? Are you going to put them in a pocket somewhere? Are you going to try to save them in hopes that they don't waste and wither? Well, listen, like they will. And what I found really intriguing here is what the master says when the one that had 5 got 5 more. He came back and he said this: "You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share in your master's happiness." Friends, if you look for abundance in this world, you will be let down. Our happiness does not happen here. Look for abundance with our master. And if we look around and we see people who have accomplished a lot, who have done a lot, who have gone far, and all of these things, Shannon, we don't realize that each of these men got something. What they did with it was their charge. Each of us have something. What we do with it and how we nourish it, that's on us. So we don't know that pianist, Shannon, that can play amazing, how many hours she has put into it. We don't know those authors who are so prolific, what they have done to perfect their craft. We don't know this, but we do know they didn't hoard it. And then we also know here what Jesus says here is, "You've been faithful with a few, so now I can trust you with many." So much so that when the man that had 1 bag came back with 1, he took it and gave it to the man who had many because he knew he could handle it. So isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and so when we complain and say, "Well, I don't have a lot of talents," or "God's only given me this," well, maybe God's waiting to see you and me use that little for his glory before
Absolutely.
he adds to it.
Because he doesn't want to give us more than we can handle. He knows what our capacity is, but he also wants to know that, hey, like if I give you this, what are you going to do with it? I was listening to a Joyce Meyer sermon on this topic, and she said people would come up all the time and say, "If I won the lottery, I got $1 million, I'd give it to you." And she goes, "No, you wouldn't. So I'd be a multi-millionaire from this." No, you wouldn't. So if you don't give $10, why is God going to give you 10,000? And when you think about it in our world, if we're not using what we've got, why can we expect and how can we expect more? What I have in my season in life right now, I've really been praying on and sitting with is when I look around and I see these beautiful singers who could go mainstream but have chosen to do kingdom work. When I see all of these people who have amazing talents, but they choose to do it through the lens of what will grow relationship with God, and I see that stuff continue to evolve and evolve. I am so inspired and knowing and reminded that they see that their talents and gifts and purpose isn't for them, it's for someone else. So I guess the takeaway from this is that question, like or a reminder, you have gifts and talents. There's no question, God gave it to you. What are you going to do with it? As my alarm goes off, what are you going to do with it? Where are you going to are you going to hoard it? Are you going to put it under a rock? Are you going to wait until, the last few years of your life and then embrace it? Or are you going to go out on faith and say, "You know what, God, I feel like I've got a talent here. I'm going to try. I feel like maybe this is the path to purpose. I'm going to try and trust that he's going to guide your steps." I think that if we go with the latter, we're going to be pretty excited.
Absolutely. Well, and he's promised spiritual gifts to everyone who has his spirit in them. We
Yeah.
all have them, so you can bank on that promise. And it reminds me of what I've said to my son when he's holding back from using his gifts. I remind him of that little children's song, says, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine." And then there's the phrase, "Hide it under a bushel." No,
No!
I'm going to let it shine. That's our lesson for today.
We're not gonna hide it. No, and I feel like in the message of hiding, Shannon, I think it's time for us to not hide something. I feel like maybe a talent that God has gifted us that we're leaning into. Are we ready? So sometimes, friends, sharing talents and gifts and purpose and hard stuff is totally terrifying and exciting at the same time. And so let's do this. We're unveiling. Okay. So I'll start it. You finish it. Shannon and I have been on a journey of writing a book together. and it will come out this month. In a few weeks. Oh my word. The book is called Women of Redemption, Motherhood Wisdom from 8 Biblical Matriarchs, and it is live and available on Amazon in ebook to pre-order right now. I'm going to get a link, Shannon. You tell them a little bit about it while I do. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, this is an amazing book where we dug really deep into the lives of 8 mothers in the Bible, some that you probably have never studied before. And we uncovered some amazing truths for mothers. And Stephanie and I we both split the chapters. She wrote half of them, I wrote half, and we were able to intertwine a lot of our motherhood journey and stories. And our goal is to just really encourage mothers of all types and ages and stages, and help you find purpose in this journey of motherhood and draw you closer to the Lord through it. And with it coming out for pre-order, pre-order of the ebook by the end of this month, it's available now, but you'll get it by the end of this month. And then the hard copy, hopefully by Mother's Day, which would be a beautiful gift for all mothers. God's hand's been all over this project. We still just can't believe that it's live and actually happened.
Yes, we just got word this morning that the ebook is up and available for pre-order. So we decided to release that with you all, and it doesn't surprise me that that it would be on today on the topic on purpose and talents, and the discussion of motherhood as a purpose for all women who embark on this journey, whatever type of mother you are or that you embrace. We are gifted with the ability to raise amazing, God-fearing, God-loving generations to come. And what an honor it was to co-author this with you. So ebook and paperback. Ebook's available for pre-order. April 24th is release date. It's be easy to remember because it's 42424. 42424. Yeah, 42424. There we go. That's the date. I wanted to keep going. I've put the link in the chat for the pre-order. It would mean a lot to us if you help us spread the word. We are pumped and excited. So,
yes, good things. And we are determined, no matter how vulnerable or scary it feels, we're not going to hide our little talent under a bushel. So
no,
there's a message to be shared.
Yes. All right. Well, hey, we have a retreat next week, next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but you and I are still going to be coming live, hopefully on Tuesday, to continue in this series. So I'm delighted and grateful for everyone listening and to do this with you, Shannon. So I will see you and everyone then.
See ya.